Welcome into Deseret News Rewind, the football awards show. As always, presented by Hydeman Associates, brought to you by the Utah Army National Guard, and we're outfitted by Black Clover.
Yeah, that's right, Dusty. And hey, just because the holiday season is over doesn't mean that discounts are over. If you need to refresh your gear a little bit, new year, new you, new clothing line, check out Black Clover. Visit blackcloverusa.com. You can use the promo code DNR20 to get 20% off your order. Or if you swing by the store in Draper next to the water park off of 123rd South, you'll get an even better deal from Black Clover.
Absolutely. Well, we know it took us a little bit of time, but we need to take some time to get things right and all kinds of stuff going on here during the holiday season. But what a better way to end the year than go through the best football players in the state of Utah and the coaches as well. Let's not waste any time. Let's get to our most outstanding player of the year.
Well, let's bring in our 2020 most outstanding player of the year, Mr. Jackson Dart, the future USC Trojan. And Jackson, first of all, talk about this year. I don't know if you're aware, you are the first Utah quarterback to be a first-team All-American since Riley Nelson in 2005. That's a 15-year drought in the state of Utah. You break his records, and then you become a first-team All-American. How unreal has this year felt for you?
It's been crazy. I would say a dream come true. And honestly, going into this year, I mean, we didn't really know what to expect and didn't even know if we were going to get a full season. So to see everything end the way that it did and win a state championship and everything's just crazy. And I'm super grateful to be in the position that I was in this year.
Jackson, when you think back, I mean, we've seen you back from your time at Roy, and then you transferred to Corner Canyon. When you're walking down the hallway for the first time in August, did you have any idea that the season had the kind of potential that ended up unfolding for the Chargers this year?
I knew that we were going to be super talented, especially on offense. Going into the year, Coach Carrick said that he felt that this was going to be the best offensive group that he's ever coached. So, I mean, when he says something like that, you know that we're going to have a good squad. We lost a lot of guys the year before on defense, so I knew that our defense this year was going to have some new guys, some new dudes that would have to step up. But overall, I knew that we had a lot of solid dudes at their spots and we would execute at a high level, and we were super talented and we worked really hard. So it was, I knew that we were going to be special this year.
Jackson, I don't want to dwell on the past too much, but so many people want to know. You start 3 years at Roy. You choose to go to Corner Canyon. You walk us through what was that like for you? Because, I mean, you were a 3-year starter. You started as a freshman at Roy, and, what ended the decision to go play at Corner Canyon?
Yeah, first of all, I'd say that it was just like a super tough decision for me and my family. I have a great relationship with Coach Fernandez and still do right now to this day. Leaving him was tough because he was the dude that put me in as a freshman, threw me in the fire. And I would say that he's made me the player that I am today. I would say that Coach Carrick has, added some things to my game, which have been tremendous, and I've been able to make huge jumps. But I would say, honestly, just going into the decision, I kind of wanted to be in an offense that suited my abilities as a quarterback and helped develop me for college and for the next level.
Jackson, when you think back on this year, I mean, you accounted for almost 6,000 yards total. You had 60-plus passing touchdowns, another dozen rushing. What's the thing that you look back on this year and you just remember, or what's the first thought that comes to your mind when you just think back on the surreal season of 2020 for you?
Crazy. I mean, I don't really know what to say about it. I never really looked at my stats that much or anything like that. I kind of just went on week to week and was just more into film, and we had online school for the whole year pretty much. So I was just trying to dive into school and get into film, but then looking back on it, it's been crazy. And just watching film of each game that went by, and just reliving some experiences. It was for sure a year to remember.
Jackson, you're recruiting, and I don't know how aware you are of this, but, there's another young man that had a skyrocketing recruiting experience, and that was Porter Gustin. And your recruitment is so similar to his, where He went from a 2-star to a 5-star in a blink of an eye, goes to USC. Here you are. I think your highest offer coming this year was BYU. Walk us through that recruiting process. What was that like, and what led you to going to fight on with Coach Helton?
Yeah, so I would say that I've kind of felt like I've been a kid that's flown under the radar for a while. 2020 was definitely a year that was hard, but I think that in some cases I'd say that it helped some people in their lives, and I think I could say that it helped me and Zach Wilson. I was able to, I think the week 3 game on ESPN and that and kind of boosted my recruitment. At that time, college coaches weren't really playing, or they didn't even know what was going to happen with their season. So they were doing a ton of recruiting, and we got the chance to play on ESPN. We played great as a team, and I was able to perform at a high level. And I think everything since that game just skyrocketed. And so it's been such a cool experience because it's been something that I've always dreamed of and wanted to be a part of. And then with USC, I just fell in love with their coaching staff. I've just formed such a great relationship with them. And I love to be in an offense that's similar to our offense, where we get to sling the rock around. And I know that we're going to do that a lot, and I'm going to have great guys around me. So I'm excited to get over there and get things started, and bring back USC to what it was and win more championships.
Jackson, when you look back on your high school career, what's the game or the moment that's going to come to your mind?
Ooh, there's a lot. Honestly, when I think back on it, I think the first thing that comes to mind is our last 2 drives against Skyridge. We struggled the whole game until the last 2 drives, and we were kind of able just to, chunk away, get some yards at a time, and then finally it was like fourth and goal on like the 5 or something like that, and we were able to punch it in. And then we kind of had a miscommunication on the 2-point conversion with the snap, and I was able to kind of escape the pocket and throw it up to my running back, Dylan Carlson. He was able to make a sweet one-handed catch, which put us up by 3, and that was huge because they, as you saw, they drove down the whole length of the field and could have easily just kicked a field goal to tie it up. And if we didn't get that 2-point conversion, ultimately they would have won the game. So, that play was huge. Made one more play to seal it. So I would say the last 2 drives and our last touchdown and the 2-point conversion of the Skyridge game.
That's awesome, man. Well, it's been a pleasure. It's not very often we get 4-year guys, and we have 2 on this video with you and Noah Kerr. And I would say, I would ask you questions that were pointed like, who'd you rather throw the ball to? I won't do that. Maybe the last one for both coaches, because we love both Coach Fernandez and Coach Kerr, such great friends of ours. Which coach is more scary in film room, Coach Fernandez or Coach Kerr?
They both have their moments. I would say Coach Kerr's more fiery on the field. They probably are super similar in the film room, but I would say Coach Kerr, he gets after it.
I didn't know if I was going to go on field because you didn't have any bad drives, really, except for the Skyridge game. So I didn't know if you saw that one so much. But
yeah.
But Jackson, man, it's been an absolute pleasure to watch you these 4 years, and we're so excited to watch you to the next level. And just want to congratulate you on what has been an outstanding year for you. But best of luck going to USC, and let's stay in touch.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for all the support.
Absolutely. Our
Thanks,
2020
Jackson.
Most Outstanding Player of the Year, Jackson Dart.
Thank you. Fight on.
It's amazing. You watch a kid for 3 years, you think you kind of understand who he is, and then in his 4th season, he switches schools, and he breaks records I never thought would be touched. I never thought Riley Nelson's record would actually go down, Dane, but man, Jackson Dart was special this year.
Unreal. 67 passing touchdowns, over 4,600 yards, and Corner Canyon fans will be the first to remind you that he didn't play a lot of 4th-plus quarters. And so, the year he had just really showed the arsenal that he had. And he caps that off with a commitment to USC. So no doubt our most outstanding overall player, and congratulations to Jackson and Corner Canyon on a state championship in 2020.
Absolutely. Well, let's keep the party rolling, shall we? Let's go to our 6A Offensive Player of the Year.
Here with our 2020 6A Offensive Player of the Year, Noah Kerr. And Noah, first of all, congratulations on a spectacular year, but an outstanding career as well. And excited to have you on. I'm going to talk about what does it take to become a four-year starter at the top program in the state of Utah, and be the guy that everyone wants to go to, no matter if it's Zach Wilson, Hagan, or if it's Jackson Dart. What do you do to endear yourself to someone? Why don't you share the insights for a young receiver out there?
Oh, I would just say relentless hard work, whether it's like technique or, in the weight room, whatever you got to do, just got to keep working, never be satisfied with anything. That's one thing that I've learned with just high school football is just that you can just never be satisfied. And if you keep working hard, the results will show themselves. Like all the hard work you put in will show itself eventually.
That I know the lineage of receivers that you got to follow that your dad coached. So the question I have, and we never got to do this before, is whose game do you try to pattern after? Because when you're really little, it's Cody Raymond, and then it was Spencer Curtis, and then there's Isaiah Jackson. There's so many guys.
Yeah.
So who was the game that you looked at and said, okay, I want to be like him?
I would say Spencer Curtis for sure. Just with how smooth his route running was, and just finding holes in the zone, and he could also stretch the field a lot, and he was super fast, and he just worked hard, and he was a freaking baller for my dad. So I was super fun to watch and have like a good example with that.
So as you go back and you look back on your high school career, I'm going to ask this: you get trying to decide if you get one or two. You get two games. You get two games that you're going to watch from your high school career, and you get to put them on a desert island with you. What are the two games that you're taking with you?
I would say probably that first championship that we had against Skyridge in 2018. And then I don't know if I want the whole Lone Peak game from last year because we kind of just played well in the last 2 minutes. So I'm going to say just the state championship from this year too. It was just a super fun game.
And those are two good picks, because everyone would say, oh, yeah, the Lone Peak Skyridge games, but you also want to see you racking up some yards and doing some stuff and seeing the offense move. So that makes total sense. But how fun is it for you? Because, I know a receiver that went to BYU and his high school quarterbacks were Chase Daniel, Christian Ponder, right? But for you, you played with a potential top 5 pick in Zach Wilson, and then Hagan comes after him and such a stud. And then Jackson Dart, I mean, that dude's going to go fight on at SC. Yeah, so USC. I'm not going to ask you to pick one, but how fortunate do you feel that you're at Corner Canyon? Those are your 3 quarterbacks in 4 years.
Oh, it's just a freaking blessing, man. Zach obviously showing me the ropes. He was a great role model for me and how to, carry a program. And we didn't get the job done that year, but he kind of just showed me like what it took to compete. Like, as you got further into the playoffs, because I'd never been in like a playoff situation like that before, especially that was at like the biggest stage at Rice Eccles, right? And so he just kind of showed me how to win and be successful at that top stage. And then Cole was just an unreal leader. Cole was the guy that I've looked up to since I came in. He always worked hard in the weight room, did everything the way he's supposed to do, kept quiet, was humble all the time. And, he didn't get like all the attention as the other two did, but I think he was really solid too. And obviously Jackson, I mean, I would say that he's probably the GOAT of high school quarterbacks that I've ever seen, honestly. And it's just like the stats speak for themselves. He didn't finish a lot of games this year even too, so he could have put up even more numbers. Right. And obviously he worked super hard, and that got him to SC and all those other offers. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do at the next level.
I've asked your dad a bunch about your final game, him coaching you. What was it like for you to know this was the last game that you're going to have your dad calling your plays and be able to go to the sideline and have his insights? What was that like for you?
It was it's bittersweet for sure because, we've played at least 50 games together. I think it was 52 together. And, you never think it's going to end until it's the last game. And I know it might be a little bit corny, but you truly never think it's going to end until like the last drive or something of your last game, and you're like, this is really it. So I did a good job, I think, of taking it in like as the journey, but you still, I don't think, are ever prepared to take your last snap as like a high school football player.
All right, man. Last question: as you think back your high school career, is there one catch or one moment? What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Either I had a catch over the middle against PG and I broke a tackle and then went like 40 yards for a touchdown, or I'd say the play against Harriman when I scored on like an 80-yarder. I would say those two for sure.
Those are two good ones, man. Well, you have a bunch to choose from. So, second all-time in yards, second all-time in touchdowns, and even single season. But Noah, first of all, congratulations on what was a spectacular career and an outstanding year, and being our 2020 6A Offensive Player of the Year. But man, it's been a pleasure to watch you for 4 years. Not a lot of guys do it, and you're able to get it done and do it at a high level. But congratulations, man.
All right, thank you. Yeah, of course.
I don't know if you could tell. I had a little bit of a tear coming to the corner of the eye there, saying goodbye to Noah Care. But this year was absolutely just sensational. When you have a quarterback throw for that many touchdowns, you expect there to be a star. But, Noah, this has been 4 years in the making.
Yeah, and, Dusty was number one in the classification of receiving touchdowns, 22, had almost 2,000 receiving yards. That's unreal. That most quarterbacks don't throw for 2,000 yards, and yet he caught that many, almost half of Jackson Dart's yards going to Noah Care. You talk about a multi-year contributor, 4-year contributor under Coach Care at Corner Canyon, and it's going to be weird to see that receiving core next year. They'll return, Cody Hagan, some others, but it's going to be weird to not see Noah Care over the middle there at Corner Canyon.
Yeah, the last guy to catch a touchdown pass from Zach Wilson in high school, he's now gone. So it's the last one. So let's and he's a top 10 pick. Anyway, let's go to the next one. Let's keep this going. The 6A Defensive Player of the Year. All right, let's bring in our 6A Defensive Player of the Year, John Henry Daly of the Lone Peak Knights. And you follow a very short line, John Henry, of brothers who've won our awards or been a part of our award show. Zach Wilson, Josh Wilson, and now your brother and you. And that's the list, I believe, anyway, of brothers winning awards on our show. So congratulations.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad the Daly brothers could be a part of that.
Well, John Henry,
he did tell us.
Yeah, he did. He gave us a heads up. He's like, hey, if you think I'm good, my younger brother's even better. And I want to start there. I don't know if you guys were keeping track, but did you know that you outbeat Michael by a half sack in your respective senior years? Were you targeting that 22 number all year long?
Honestly, I just wanted to kind of do whatever I could to, help our team win in some games. I wouldn't have as many sacks as others, but I knew I was opening up opportunities for others. So honestly, I was just playing it, by game and just, hoping I could put up a good performance and help our team win.
When you look back at your team and there's so many things, Dane and I, we came into the year, we thought, okay, well, we know Lone Peak will be good. We don't know how good. What did you know about your team coming into this year? Because we knew the defense would be stout, but what did you know about this team and the makeup you have to push yourselves all the way to a state championship game?
Honestly, coming into the year, I feel like, we kind of got jibbed. People were like, hey, you don't have the athletes. You guys just won't be able to perform with some of these other schools. Especially I think Timpview was like the first one. They're like, hey, there's no way you're going to be able to hang with all these athletes that go there. And so, just preparing for all that, I knew that we had a lot of kids who, had extremely high ceilings, who were ready to work hard. And I knew that we'd be able to go out there and perform at a high level at each and every single game.
John Henry, I think about that vaunted Knights Who Say Nay defense as we coined them this year. And whether it was you or Gunnarsson, there were so many guys up front defensively. Talk about what it was like to be a part of that unit. Last year's defense was great as well, but that front four for Lone Peak was just so dominative this year. What was it like to play with that group?
Oh, it was incredible, because that everybody else on the line can make plays as well. So it's just kind of like, sometimes we have a little competitions who can get to the QB first. So it was great having all those athletes along the defensive line and just being able to get after the QB and constantly apply pressure.
John Henry, you got a lot of examples, right? So you get to play, your defensive coordinator is Ryan Denny, played in the NFL for a really long time. Your brother-in-law, or uncle, is David Nixon, who played in the NFL. His brother-in-law is Taysom Hill. Your brother's Michael. You've got a lot of examples, and I think it goes even deeper. So who is the one that you would most like to go up against or play with?
Honestly, it'd have to be Michael or my dad, I'd say. those two. Obviously, I'm going to be playing with Michael, so I'm super excited because I know he's one of like the best pass rushers. So I'm super excited to play with him. And also, my father who went also played at BYU. He's an incredible athlete, and I would have loved to have played with him.
John Henry, I got to ask this question and just sneak it in. I heard a story in preparation for the state championship game that in the semifinal against Skyridge, they score a touchdown and go up, and there was a certain audible or adjustment call made on the sidelines that came from you on a kick return that altered the outcome of that game. Can you share with us that story?
Yeah, so we kept on running the same return the whole game. It was basically a return right or return left. It was like either one to the side. And so I noticed that two of the guys kept on coming towards me to block it. I said, hey, like if we're able to, wedge this right, we should have an open touchdown. So I went up and I said, hey, like check, let's do middle return. Like I think we can bust it loose. And so, Coach Denny pulled the trigger and we're able to, have K.O. Hansen make an amazing play and be able to shift the momentum and, ending up winning us the game.
You played in so many big games at Lone Peak. Is there a moment or a game, doesn't have to be a game or it could be a practice or something in the locker room that stands out to you and kind of speaks to you of what your experience at Lone Peak has been like?
I'd have to say the Skyridge game. We're going down, we're going into the locker room down 7-17. And we're kind of like, hey, like, are we being able to pull this one out? People are like having a little bit of doubt. They're like, hey, like, they got the momentum. They have an amazing offense, an amazing defense. Like, what are we going to do? And honestly, I don't think anybody, really expected us to win. Yeah, I know a couple of you guys on here expected us to lose going into that game. But, we all sit in the locker room and I said, hey, we're going to win this. The offense is going to perform. The defense is going to perform. Like, I'm telling you guys right now, like, we're going to be able to come carry this out. And we go into second half and we get some big momentum plays, and it was just a great thing. We don't necessarily always have, quote unquote, like the best athletes or the best known people, but at the end of the day, like we're a team unit and we work hard together and we're able to, have very successful years year in, year out.
Just to clarify, this guy got that one right, John Henry. So thanks for having my back. You can rub Dusty a little bit about his
it's all content, John Henry. It's all content.
We used as billboard material. We said, hey, let's go upset it.
I love it. I absolutely. Hey, I love you tell us this story because, we love watching you guys play. And it's guys like you, there's so many, but John Henry, it's guys like you that we watch for a number of years that we know that we're going to watch on Saturdays and potentially Sundays. And we're like, you know what? This is what's so fun about it. So when you hear that you guys watch it, that's a win for us. That's awesome. That is so, you could have told me, hey, if we beat them, we get a pie in the face, something. I would have taken it. It's been awesome.
Yeah. We watch y'all every week, so we're like, hey, who they think is going to win, who they think is not. And, we ended up getting the short end a lot, so we're ready to prove people wrong.
Oh, man. Well, John Henry, first of all, we're so excited to watch what goes forward for you. Actually, I think we'll have a lot of BYU fans mad if we don't ask this. What went into the decision of going to BYU? Because, one thing we know about you is that there's not social media stuff for you. You're not out pushing recruiting, all the camps, all the stuff. I mean, what went into the decision to go to BYU?
Honestly, I went in and I looked at the culture and I looked at, Coach Kalani, Coach Ed Lamb, Coach Tuiaki, and, obviously my older brother's going there too. And I said, how could I pass this up? They're building something special in Provo. You look at my recruiting class, you look at the previous two that they've had, and, they're recruiting a bunch of great athletes. And, just look what they did this year, and they're only going to grow from that. So it just got me excited, and I was just excited to go play with my brother and be a part of this BYU family.
Well, man, we're so excited to watch you play. It's been a pleasure to watch you at Lone Peak, and so excited to award you our 2020 6A Defensive Player of the Year, John Henry Daly of Lone Peak High School.
Thank you very much.
It's amazing because we talked about that interview we did with Mike. When we gave Mike the Defensive Player of the Year, he goes, if you think I'm good, and Dan, you mentioned it, wait till you see my brother. And that's an absolute true story. And, man, John Henry lived up to and surpassed any expectation I had from his brother.
Yeah, I mean, unreal. What a year he had. And, he has 22 sacks, incredible. But that doesn't talk about, all of the rushes or hurries and hits on the quarterback that he laid. Coach Brockbank said, we want to get to the quarterback early and often and hit him. And John Henry did it. That whole front did it. But, man, you talked about a guy who was nearly unblockable. And talking with other coaches in 6A, said that kid is unreal. How good he is, his motor, his love for the game. It was on display in 2020, and a big reason why he was our 2020 Defensive Player of the Year in 6A.
Now let's go to one of our favorite awards. These guys are just on the brink of getting to the Players of the Year and MVPs, and sometimes we just don't know where to put them because they impact the field in so many places. But it's one of our favorite awards. It's the 6A Most Unheralded of the Year award.
Well, he might not be unheralded to many people on our Twitter feed, but he is the most unheralded player of the year, and that is Cannon DeVries. Cannon, first of all, that is DeVries, and I know I'm going to say it 5 different ways, mainly because we heard your last name 5 different ways. So how about you tell the whole state and the whole internet how you say your last name?
Yeah, so it's Cannon DeVries.
See? Last night you watched that basketball game. I think I said it 4 different ways, so I apologize. And your dad even told us before the game, so.
Yeah, you're good.
Well,
I don't worry about it too much.
Good.
I know that, hey, you win awards, and then it gives us the opportunity to get the name right. So in 2021, there's no excuses. It's going to be Cannon DeVries, and we're going to get that right from the get-go. So,
yes, sir. That's what I like to hear.
Well, Cannon, how about this year? I mean, how surprised were you every time you watched the film that teams still kept kicking off to you, and 2, kept punting the ball to you?
Well, I mean, I love when they kick and punt to me. I think later in the year it was tough because everyone kind of figured out not to. So then the last few games, I don't think I even had a kick return or punt return. But, yeah, like I love special teams, and that's definitely like a big aspect of the game that many people like don't think about. So.
Cannon, talk about this year for Weber. I know, this has been a program that's been competing for region championships the last couple of years, and this year, we didn't have you quite this low, but I know that there were some that thought Weber was picked like 5th in the region. And talk about this group, what it was like to play with them and to be able to go and win another co-region championship.
Yeah, so obviously at the start of the season, the rankings came out and they had us at 5th, which we love because it gives us a ton more motivation to like prove the doubters wrong. But this group, like, we've been playing together ever since we were little. Like, we've always been good from Little League and growing up. So we definitely had, like, a tight brotherhood, and everyone had each other's backs, and everyone knows how to win, and that's just kind of what we had to show, and we just wanted it more than anyone else.
Cannon, what's a game or a play from this season that you think back on, and it's the first one you go to?
Definitely my punt return against Northridge, just because like they kicked it to me and I made just 2 guys miss off kind of ankle breakers, I guess, which is exciting, and then just kind of showed my speed at the end to get in the end zone. So that's like one of my favorite plays from the year.
Kenan, I got to ask, I don't know if, and Dusty's more the encyclopedia than me, but I don't know if I recall a player who impacted so many different aspects of the game. I mean, statistics defensively, offensively, special teams. You've got rushing yardage, punt return, kickoff return, receiving. What's your favorite aspect of the game? Like, where do you feel like really gives you your moment to really shine? What's that element that you're most proud of?
Obviously I like playing everywhere on the field. Like, I just like being a playmaker and an athlete, but I think I have the most fun on defense, just like flying around at safety and taking the ball out of the air and just kind of showing that no-fly zone.
That's a good one. So let's spin forward to next year. I know you're finishing up basketball season. You have a lot of things you're looking on. What are maybe 2 aspects that you're working on going into next season?
I've been working on just like trying to obviously like look at game plans and just try to see how like I can impact my team a little bit more and just try to help them out in that way. If that's putting me at quarterback or moving me to wide out by myself, or just like having to walk down and lock someone up at like drop down safety. So just kind of wherever the coaches need me to play, where they think I can help them in certain aspects.
Kenan, you talked a little bit about quarterback and safety. Is there any chance we get to see you in the kicking game? I just think of like the Nate Ritchies. I mean, we got to get you kicking field goals to be up there with old Nate.
I wish I could kick, but soccer obviously was never a a good thing for me. And I've never tried to kick, but it's definitely not very good. So.
Well, Cannon, congratulations. What was a spectacular year. Best of luck during the basketball season. We look forward to seeing you next year. But Cannon DeVries, our 2020 6A Most Unheralded Player of the Year.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
You know, Cannon DeVries, so many people are going to tell us, yeah, you talked about him all year long. But that's why I kind of shared the description at the top. I mean, we didn't know where to put Cannon. Where do you put him on the field and as far as awards? And then sometimes he may not be at the John Henry Daly level, but he's the most unheralded because it's the kid where his recruiting and other things can only go what?
Well, and you look at the leap he made in 2020, you know, was familiar with Cannon coming into the year, but didn't expect him to have quite the impact he had. And whether it was special teams, offense, or defense, I mean, we can start special teams and offense. He would just get open. His speed was unreal. The ability he had to outrun pretty much anyone you stuck on him. And got to a point where very early in the year, Dusty, we're like, just don't kick to him. I mean, you're just better off to kick the ball out of bounds because any play, you know, he is going to break it and take one the other way. I joked with you that you kind of walk into a Weber games down 12-0 because you know that DeVries is going to find two ways to score somehow. And then to talk to him and understand his best or his favorite is to play defense. Just like, man, I mean, you talk about a kid that can impact every phase. He does that. And excited to see the rest of his career at Weber. I'm pretty certain he'll be up for some future awards in future years, but very, very well deserving of the Unheralded Player in 2020.
As we move to our two final awards in the 6A video, one thing we want to make sure you understand is normally we reserve our player of the year. We call the most outstanding player of the year this year. But with COVID and so many different things and the storylines we had within the coaching ranks, we thought we would change things up a little bit and change Mr. Rewind from a player's award to an additional award. And we couldn't think of anybody better than when you look at what happened in 6A this year. And one of the great transformations in the state of Utah is the West High Panthers. And let's go to our Mr. Rewind interview with Coach Junior Solovey.
Well, let's bring him in, our Mr. Rewind for the 6A coach. Coach Junior Solovey of the West Panthers. And Coach, when you left East as the offensive coordinator and went to West, how many years did you think it would take you to have the impact in the year that you had this year?
You know, I don't really kind of get in those, like, how long it would take me. I think we just wanted to go in there and work extremely hard and try to see if there was something we could spark with these young men and take what we learned from Coach Matic in East and see if we could, you know, do something special like we did up there.
Coach, you guys won 9 games this year. It was the most wins since like 1996. You're from, you know, West boundaries. You grew up a West kid. What does that mean to the community, to the program, to have that kind of success that these kids had never seen in their lifetimes in that program?
Man, it was extremely important to our community. You know, it's just been so long. And not just the success on the field, but just success, period, you know, in the football program and to see kids have an opportunity to go to the next level. I think that was more of the impact of just seeing there was hope to come here. You know, there was hope to be like, you know, we could stay home. You know, I'm not one of those people that say, you know, everybody has to stay home. I'm a big believer. You got to go where you believe it's a great fit for your family. And that's just the time we're in right now. But the community, just to see how they rallied around this team, you know, I think they really carried this team through the playoffs.
Coach, what win kept you up more on Friday night? The win over Kearns or the win over Roy?
Man, that's a tough one. I mean, I would say, you know, both were right up there. You know, I mean, it's the impact of the Roy game and how we won. I think that was just so amazing. I think the Kearns game was the turning point for this team. I think every team has a crossroads where, you know, just a light goes on. And I think the Kearns game, because we were behind, you know, against a good team. And I see guys rallied and how they fought and just kept believing. I think, you know, I would love to say, like, hey, our coaches were the ones that are inspiring, but I think the kids and the leadership of these young men were inspiring us through that game and kept us believing that we could do it. So just to see this team in the Kearns game, I think I don't think we win Roy if we don't beat Kearns.
Coach, you talk about the way that you won that Roy game, and it was a similar way that you won a lot of games this year. It was the law offices of Clarence Byrd Butler, as that's become known here on Deseret News Rewind. Talk about what Byrd Butler has brought to your program and his attitude, his approach, his athleticism. Such a unique player. We haven't really seen kids like him have that type of an impact at a program like West and a multi-year player for you. Just talk about the impact that he has made for this West High program.
I mean, but he's a true example of a kid that just believed in staying home. He could have left. We had some serious conversations at the end of last year about, what it would take for him to take that next step. He was just a kid. I mean, he's been around it. A lot of people know his dad. His dad is a, well-known star here at West, and his family has been here. But, he had a lot of opportunities to leave. There was a lot of pressure for him to leave. But he came and sat down in my office and just said, what do I have to do? And we just said, man, you got to take the off season serious. You being an athlete's not going to be good enough. We're looking for him to be a leader. And, he went on a 7-17 with Jackson Dart and a lot of the Corner Canyon guys this past off season. And, I mean, just to see him, David Spew, and all those guys were on those teams. And I think for him to see how those guys worked, I think it inspired him, and he knew he couldn't just be a great athlete. He really had to put the work in, off the field. But just to see how he responded, even in the classroom, he's a kid that, wasn't necessarily always the best student, but, he needed extra help. He was, he's not a kid that typically comes out of these certain academic programs and does really well. So we're just so proud of him. We're really excited to see what he does moving on.
Well, Coach, congratulations. I know how proud you are of your alma mater. Just make sure after you hit all your levels of success that you don't steal the name from a guy from my alma mater and Coach Gene Plaga. So it can be Junior Solovey Field at Gene Plaga Stadium, the Carbon Dino.
You know what? Never going to have to. I mean, that guy, nobody's taking that guy's place ever.
Yeah. Well, Coach, congratulations again. Normally we designate Mr. Rewind for our best players of the year, but what coaches did this offseason need to be recognized, at least our minds, and certainly for what you've done there. We want to change that designation and take a couple of coaches to do that, and that's certainly the honor we wanted to give you. But we appreciate you, you're a great friend of our program, but congratulations on the spectacular year, and we look forward to where West is going to go, not where it's been.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, you guys do such great coverage. I'm honored. I didn't even know what this phone call was about, to be honest, but I'm honored. I'm always honored to see it. What you guys do and how you guys cover, it's always fun to see week to week. I mean, I don't think prep sports in Utah would be where it is without you guys. So thank you so much. I'm honored. Appreciate it.
I joked with him there, and I kind of meant it. What he is building, what he has the ability to do at West, I worry about Gene Plaga's name coming off that stadium. I worry about it. So I want to make sure he knew my concerns. But Junior is building something special.
Well, he is. And, I mean, you look at what he did at West this year, Dusty, the most wins since the mid-'90s. They won a region championship, co-region champs in Region 2. You look at them in the playoffs, going on the road against Roy. We both picked West to get that win, and they did. A last-second win, but this offense so good. And the thing you got to appreciate is how he adapts it to his personnel, runs a lot of option. He also threw a lot this year, was multiple in his sets. And you talk about building something special. He is. And you can start to see that pride of West coming back up. And it's great to see a school with the most state championships in state history starting to get back on the winning side of things. It's a great time to be a Panther at West High.
Absolutely. So now you wonder, who is our 6A Coach of the Year? Let's go to the final award in our 6A Award Show.
Let's bring in our 2020, actually our three-peat Coach of the Year, and Coach Eric Kerr. And Eric, I'm going to rename the award the Eric Kerr Coach of the Year Award, because if you keep rolling Corner Canyon along like you are, I know I'm going to have a lot of fights with Dane about who gets his award. But as long as you keep the streak moving, man, this is your award to have.
Man, it's been a fun ride for sure over the last 3 or 4 years at Corner, and it's great to coach good kids, and they make you look good, and the coaching staff around us has all been awesome. So it's been lucky.
A lot of coaches everyone had to deal with COVID. But you deal with COVID, but you go break state records with Jackson Dart, but your offense just seemed to be on a whole new level. Is there any secret to what you were able to do? I mean, I don't want to give away everything for you, but was there things you were able to accomplish in the offseason that allowed you to come in this year where your offense looked like it was 2019 with regular offseason and everything else, when we know that is not what took place this summer?
I think a lot of the kids did a really good job of working out on their own, like when we were down and we couldn't be around them at all. Like, I think they really tried to, a lot of them, whether they have their, home gyms or they went out and did the running like they were supposed to. I think a lot of them tried to stay in good shape. And then just the experience I think we had coming back, I think helped us when we did get going, kind of hit the ground running and not have to necessarily reteach as much. They kind of knew what they were supposed to do. And we had a lot of guys back with experience, like Jackson Light had been, a 3-year starter, Noah, a 3-year starter, Cody had started a year before and a little bit of another, and then Talmadge was a 2-year starter coming into it. So, and then our running back, Bell, even though we lost him, he had experience, and Dylan had even played a little bit the prior year when we lost him. So we were able to kind of get that going and hit the ground running. And that helped a lot, especially on the offensive side. Defensively, we were a little more worried just because we didn't have the experience back, and I was really impressed with how well they were able to learn and how quick they took to it and just took to coaching and really picked up the scheme fast and started playing pretty quick, pretty early on. So,
let's talk about Jackson too, because we've gone through your line of quarterbacks a million times. But where did you see his biggest growth? Because we watched him at Roy, and I really felt like him going to your system would give him. I mean, now he's going to go to USC. I don't know if that happens if he doesn't come and get into your offense and learn from you. You talk about the growth you saw from him from day one and helping him out to where you saw him at the end of the year, where he breaks Riley Nelson's touchdown record, which honestly I didn't know that ever get touched. if Oscar Fences wasn't going to do it, I didn't know if anyone was going to do it. But you talk about that growth you saw from Jackson.
Yeah, he just really learning the scheme because he's so talented from an arm talent standpoint and just really accuracy. He's really accurate as a passer, deep, intermediate, and short, but like especially the deep ball, he can put it on guys. So just being able to get him to understand what the scheme was, I knew he could make all the throws he needed to. And then probably the biggest thing that surprised me on top of just throwing ability was his running ability I felt like something that really helped us out a ton, and he was super effective at that and did a really good job picking up our run game pretty fast and being effective with it. And then just his pocket mobility really helped us because sometimes plays would break down, and they might even have been at times just because he was still learning where to go with the ball. Sometimes when stuff would break down, he would just make things happen, on the fly. So I did a really good job with that. He was a stud for us. And then just him picking it up, like he picked it up really fast anyway. It took him a little bit early on, but he just really dedicated himself on picking it up and learning it just because he knew that was something he had to do. So he did a really good job of learning it too, because it's kind of a lot at first, but once you kind of get it down and how it works, you can learn it pretty quick.
You had quite a run, and we'll get to one of your favorite 4-year starters, certainly one of my favorite 4-year starters, but Jackson Light. We don't have awards for offensive linemen. I know that can make some people mad. I just don't care to get told that someone wasn't as good as someone else when I don't know line game as well. But you walk us through Jackson Light, what's been like for 4 years, watching this kid develop and become one of the top, if not the top center, not just the West, but in the country.
Yeah, he's a really special player and been a huge part of our success over the last 4 years. And he loves football, loves the game, loves showing up and getting after it, and just loves the actual game itself and being competitive and showing out. And he's been a really fun part of what we've been able to do over the last 4 years. And it all starts up front and with what he did and just making his teammates around him better and pushing him and doing those types of things from a leadership standpoint. And his love for the game is pretty contagious too. Brings a lot of energy and excitement to our team. So he's a fun player to coach. We're going to miss him.
Yeah, let's talk about one that I know you're going to miss. I'm going to miss, and that is Noah. your son Noah Carrick goes and breaks a bunch of records, gets second behind Nakua, and you just look at all the career he had. How fun was it for you, one, to coach him, but then to finish off with a third state championship with him in his last game?
Yeah, that was huge. Just wanting to finish things off the right way and kind of be able to see his success, besides just as a coach, but as a father too, and get him to, seeing all his hard work and effort pay off. And he was a big part of our success as we went along too. Just even more so like behind the scenes. On the field, he did a lot of things too, but also just like leadership, weight room, like dedication to like the off-season training programs and those types of things come big, and he set the standard for a lot of that with some of our other guys too. But you need that type of leadership in your off-season stuff because that's where it's built, and he did a great job there. And then a lot of that just will transfer to the field. If you take care of that, then a lot of the field stuff becomes easy. So it was fun to see him, and just really proud of him, and he's meant a lot to us. And it's especially in like critical situations. He seems like in third down, he was kind of a lot of times he was the guy that we would try to find, or Jackson would try to find, based off reads or whatever, that really came through for us, year in, year out. And that was a big part, converting on third downs and our third down conversions. And then, just having that consistency, that's nice to have. We're going to miss that, now. We've had, him and Jackson Light, around for a while. So it's going to be weird, not having them around and having that consistent that we've been able to have. So just got to get somebody else to step up. That's kind of how it goes in football, but we'll definitely miss them for sure.
Yeah, you got a little brother that's got a lot to live up to. But Eric, when you look back, and you've had some time here in at the end of this 2020 season, there's probably a lot of moments. Is there any one moment you think back to that, at least to you, defines who this team was to you?
Probably the biggest thing is just their ability to kind of work through the mess that 2020 was. Their perseverance probably sticks out to me the most. And there was a lot of stuff. Like there's just a lot of things that go on, and a lot of people are mad because you're playing high school football and you got people watching you all the time, or like walking by and taking pictures and sending it in or whatever, like school board stuff or whatever it might be. Just kids just working through that kind of stuff. I mean, they would deal with that stuff on a daily basis, like people coming up to them while they're on the field in the summer, wondering why they're out there working out, and just such a different obstacle for a lot of them, and they'd be out there by themselves and people would bug them and why are you out there? Like just those types of things. So I was really proud of them. I thought they worked through it really well. I thought they did their best, and it was a tough situation to handle, just like I think anybody else has been through. I think it's been tough for a lot of people in 2020, not just athletes or anybody else, but just to watch high school kids work through that, and their perseverance, just how optimistic they were, and they were fun. They kept me positive a lot of times, just seeing their energy and things like that when stuff would frustrate you as a coach, or have to work through some of these things. So that was probably the biggest thing that stuck out. And then the way they kept working through the season and kept themselves focused on the plan. There was a lot of distractions, or there could have been, and they kind of refused to let anything distract them on what their goal was. Well,
Coach, I mean, it really kind of speaks to who you are and what you're building there at Corner Canyon, what's there. But anytime excellence is held, I'm going to fight really hard. That's the thing we got to show. And being our coach of the year, you set a bar, and those guys continue to hit it. And for 3 years now, I mean, just absolutely outstanding. But congratulations on an outstanding year and being our 2020 6A Coach of the Year.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
It's interesting. I said in the interview that we should rename the award the Eric Carr Coach of the Year Award. And, Dane and I have a lot of conversations about what these awards are going to be like and who and why. And to be, you sustained excellence in a year like COVID, in a year like 2020, what it's been, and you improved upon it. And that's what Eric Carr did, and what he has done on all of his years at Corner Canyon. Every year they've gotten better.
And I think a couple of things that really stand out about the year that he had, and you look at a kid like Jackson Dart, and this is not meant to be a knock on Jackson at all, but if you saw him as a junior and as a senior, you wouldn't think they were the same player. Now, I know that the uniforms change, the offenses change, but to just see his progression from his junior year to his senior year and what that meant for his overall talent ability, his contribution in a given contest, but then also recruiting, and that does speak volumes. I mean, that credit goes to Eric Carr. And you look at what he did. The closest game they had this year, Dusty, was a Skyridge game. And I know there are some Falcon fans that are still a little testy over that. But Corner Canyon won. They came from behind to do it. They made plays defensively and offensively to do it. And, Coach Carrick was up for National Coach of the Year awards. And so it just goes to show what he's done. He took a program that graduated its quarterback, most of its defense, and he took them to a top 10 ranking. That does not happen very often when you lose that amount of players at those positions. And Coach Carrick did it in 2020. So as rough as this year was, it wasn't rough for everybody. Coach Carrick had a pretty good year.
We know this is one of the longest videos of the year, but it's because we want to celebrate the names and the faces that brought the football season. Because my favorite part of the year is the football season, if you follow all of our videos. And it's just so special to us here in 2020 to be able to go through and celebrate the year that was, because the miracle this football season was for us and for the country. Really, there wasn't a lot of states that had it, but we did here in the state of Utah. And we wanted to make sure that we took our time to celebrate the names and the boys and the men behind those guys that made the season possible. But Dane, your final thoughts on the 6A side of the 2020 season?
Yeah, well, you really just stole my thunder there, Dusty, because I was going to give an honorary award. I was just going to make a quick mention of the Dane Stewart Performer of the Year, and it's got to go to the Beavers. All right? They made me look foolish. I had to eat pie at the hands of Beaver. So just got to get that out there. Beaver, I will never make that mistake again. But when you look at 6A this year, Dusty, we both had Corner Canyon at the start of the year as the preseason favorite. I mentioned there was a game or two there where it was a little iffy at some point, but really, you look at what they did throughout the course of the year, and very few games were ever in question. And again, you do that with all of the talent they graduated. Austin Bell got hurt. We didn't even talk about that. It was a challenging year for Corner Canyon. They fought through a lot of things, and you really left no doubt throughout the process. So we had great rises of programs. You think of West and their rise. You think of Bingham, the steps that they made this year of getting back Coach Peck in his first year. Great. Davis made a great progression under Coach Arquette this year. Those talented seniors. Great to see some of those powers that have had some tough sledding in recent years. But at the end of the day, this was Corner Canyon's classification. We'll see if that continues in 21.
Well, absolutely. It was a year unlike any other, and any of us could ever expect. And let's just pray that 2021, that we're all back in the stadiums, we're all enjoying what's going on here in Utah high school football, and we will be there along the way and to bring you those best players and those coaches as well. We want to thank you, the fans, everyone who watched our videos. You've made the last 5 years we've been doing that here on Deseret News an absolute pleasure, and it's bringing these young men a coverage that they hadn't had. It's an absolute pleasure, and to give them awards just means so much to us. We want to thank our sponsors, Heinemann Associates, Utah Army National Guard, Riley Jensen Consulting, and Black Clover for all their support and what they've given us all year long. But we certainly want to thank you, the fans, and the parents, and those players as well. But for Vince Francis and Dane Stewart, I'm Dusty Litster. Thanks for joining us and watch the 6A Football Award Show on Deseret News Rewind.